All right, guys, here's a trade report for Wednesday, June 10th, 2015. SPY here, maybe it put in a pivot. We are at the oversold stochastic level, which we've talked about is a slam dunk entry here, going back even over a year. There have been some nice bounces. It's been the buy point if you're trading the indexes over the past year. The issue is, where is the buy point? Do we pull back a little more? I was ready to jump in yesterday when it looked like we were going to form a hammer here that didn't end up forming. So I talked about this in the intraday report. If we got a strong close, that would have been a signal that strong volume is coming in on the buy side, and that forms our pivot, and then we get the bounce. Ended up getting a doji, which shows indecision. That's the idea behind the doji is generally indecision. It can kind of go either way. And we really don't know now. Maybe we do get that bounce. So if we get confirmation, and we'd prefer not to have to wait for a big confirmation because we're leaving a lot on the table then. But when we get this kind of candle, we've got to do that because we really don't have an edge in terms of, is it going to go up or down from here? Again, my preference, my preference doesn't mean much in terms of what's going to happen, but for my methodology, for managing my risk, for getting the probabilities in our favor, my preference here would be to get a more of a move down and then be able to enter. If we could enter in here, in the 206, 207 range, that would really put the odds in our favor. Think of a rubber band, and often we call these rubber band setups. That rubber band gets stretched so much that when it does bounce, it's going to have more force behind it. And if we look at UPRO, which is what we are going to trade, you can see that line right in there. So we're looking for a little more of a pullback. If we don't get it, maybe I don't play the index. I go back to adding more positions, which it is a way I did it yesterday. So if it does bounce, I can participate. Let's get to our current positions. The entry yesterday was GPRO, and we've had this entry for a few days here where it's been kind of hanging out at this 200-day moving average, trying to remount it. The idea here is, we take a small loss if the market pulls back, but if the market does bounce, I think GPRO really has some room to bounce here all the way up to the last kind of pivot high here around 70. And if we were playing it longer term, I mean, you've got some real room to move here, and we've got that earnings catalyst, which is always good to have earnings behind us, strong earnings behind us. So that was the entry in GoPro. We've got Amazon here. Now back again at this range where we entered in, and at the bottom of the range. Now, if you're playing the top of the bottom of the range, this is a good entry if you're not already in the stock, and it can make a move here to 440. Yelp, we were stopped out of. I still like Yelp, but for our risk parameters, we have to get out at that level. MBLY, we had played a move to the 50-day moving average. We got a huge bounce yesterday. Now maybe it carries over to this high, and then we get a break of the high. And JNUG still hanging out at that 21 level. And that's a review of the indexes and what we're planning to do and our current positions. And I'm actually going to break this up into 2 videos, so shortly I'll record the next video.